Story Corner, presented by Jennifer. Spirit Animals, Book 1, Wildborn, Chapter 11, Gar. Okay, feel free to check out my other spirit animal videos. And for those of you who have not yet seen them, feel free to check out my other videos for Wildborn. Akaba, Shane called, "Akaba, where are you?" Akaba kept still in her tree, a slow smile parting her lips. Urza crouched motionless on a limb beside her. Down below, Shane blundered closer to her hiding place. "This is the wrong time for games. Remember those important people I told you about? They're here. We shouldn't keep them waiting." Ever since their ship had reached this island, Shane had gone on and on about these visitors. He seemed very impressed by them. In many ways, Shane was her first real friend. Not only had he saved her life, but he continued to train with her, watch out for her, even joke with her. He appreciated her hunting, her strength, her stealth, many of the traits she most valued. Only her mother had ever made her feel accepted in that way. Yet she had questions about these people he worked with. None wore green cloaks, but they seemed well organized. They had ships, a big outpost, and many trained soldiers. All had spirit animals. Who were they? And why did they leave Urza so agitated? Lately, she hadn't pressed Shane for answers. She was afraid of what she might learn. But that wasn't the main reason she was hiding. "All right, Akaba," Shane said. "I admit it. You keep improving. Even on this puny island, you and Urza could probably evade me for as long as you choose." "I just wanted to hear you say it," Akaba replied. "There you are," Shane greeted. "You picked the worst time to prove a point." Akaba descended from the tree. Urza landed beside her. "You backed down, so I must have chosen the right time." "You and Urza are really coming along as a team," Shane said. "Our visitors will be pleased." "They're really here?" Akaba asked. He might have simply been trying to lure her out of hiding. "They're not just here," Shane said. "They're waiting for us." She felt nervous, but hoped it didn't show. "Lead the way." They started walking towards the walled buildings. "You should probably put Urza into her dormant state." "Won't they want to see her?" "It proves your ability," Shane said. "You're young to use the dormant state. It also shows respect. Some of their spirit animals don't get along with others. If you keep Urza with you, they'll have to make their animals passive. It would be rude." Akaba could see what he meant. But wasn't it rude for them to expect her to put Urza away if their spirit animals were the unfriendly ones? The visitors clearly meant a lot to Shane, so she decided not to argue. Akaba held out her arm and called to Urza. With a stinging flash, the leopard became a tattoo. It was not far to the walled stronghold. They passed through a massive iron gate, and Shane led Akaba to the center building. They entered and went to the main chamber. A pair of guards who Akaba didn't recognize stood outside a set of heavy doors. They bowed to Shane and let them pass. The visitors were assembled at the far side of the large stone room. A throne had been set up, and on it sat a regal man entering his autumn years. His temples were touched with gray, and he had a craggy face with a jutting chin. A circlet ringed his head, wrought like a snake consuming its own tail. Below his heavy eyebrows, dark eyes watched Akaba intently. Before his throne stretched an enormous crocodile. Akaba had no idea they could grow so large. From snout to tail, it was longer than 5 grown men lying end to end. "He's a king," Akaba murmured to Shane. "Yes," Shane muttered back, "behave accordingly." To one side of the king crouched a wizened old woman on a stool, bundled in coarse rags. Drool dribbled from one corner of her withered lips. On the other side of the throne stood Zareth. He was dressed in fancier clothes than when they had last met, and his hair was slicked back. "Zareth!" Akaba cried. Her eyes had been drawn to the man on the throne and the crocodile, that she had been slow to recognize her former protector. He gave a polite nod. "I told you we would meet again." He gestured toward the throne. "May I introduce General Gar, King of the Lost Lands. Sire, meet Akaba, the summoner of Urza." "No small feat," said the man on the throne. He had a voice that carried weight. It wasn't terribly deep, but, like his face, it was full of presence. A voice accustomed to giving orders. "Is that your crocodile?" Akaba asked. General Gar raised his eyebrows. "Indeed, a saltwater crocodile, from the continent of Steril." Akaba frowned. "Steril?" Erdas had 4 regions, and none were named Steril. She shivered as her eyes strayed to the huge reptile. Akaba had only heard of one person who ever had a saltwater crocodile as a spirit animal. The Devourer. "What are you thinking, Akaba?" The General Gar asked. "Speak freely." "It's just that," Akaba hesitated. "I've seldom heard of a big crocodile like this as a spirit animal." "Only once, am I right?" General Gar said with a knowing grin. He waved a dismissive hand. "It gets mentioned all the time. The Devourer, from children's stories, was said to have been paired with a saltwater crocodile. But he died long ago. I know it's rare across the rest of Erdas, but in Steril, summoning a saltwater crocodile is no cause for astonishment. It occurs from time to time." Akaba looked to Shane, and then to Zareth. They seemed at ease. "I see." It's true, Akaba," Shane says. "The histories don't mention Steril, but it's a real place. I was born there." "He's right," Zareth assured her. "The Green Cloaks wrote the histories, and they deliberately ignored Steril. No surprise there. They committed horrible crimes against the people of our continent." Akaba measured up Zareth. "You told me you worked with Green Cloaks." "I do, on occasion. Some of them are very good people. Others seek to dominate the world. The organization has been corrupted for a long time, and is getting worse. Listen, no one knows more about the Devourers than the people of Steril. We were the first continent he conquered, all those years ago. We were grateful when the green cloaks freed us from his evil, until they turned on us. Women, children, the green cloaks tried to wipe out all life on Sterile, as if the common people were responsible for what the Devourer had done. We had suffered under the tyranny of the Devourer, and then we suffered worse after the green cloaks defeated him. Only by hiding did any of us survive. Zareth's dark eyes held Akaba captive. The green cloaks were ashamed of their actions and tried to hide the fact that Sterile ever existed. For the most part, they succeeded. They removed it from the histories and from the maps. But not all the people in Sterile perished. The survivors had descendants. General Gar is their king. Akaba shot a curious glance at Shane. This information was new to her, but she supposed it was plausible. You are understandably puzzled, General Gar said. Perhaps you imagine yourself among enemies, for that is how the green cloaks characterize everyone but themselves. Nothing could be further from the truth. China was the only green cloak Akaba had actually known. She had always seemed kind of mysterious, but had a genuine care about the village. In the stories, the green cloaks were always the good guys. But if the green cloaks had written the stories... Shifting on his throne, General Gar raised his eyebrows. The war happened long ago. We do not hate the green cloaks. The butchers who slaughtered our ancestors are long gone. But you must forgive us if we are slow to trust them. They tried to exterminate us once, and we fear they may do the same again. This is why we have endured centuries without the nectar. Are people suffering the illness and death that accompanies natural bonding? Akaba looked up to Shane again. How awful. Your bonding occurred without any nectar, Shane said. I was one of the lucky ones. Other friends and family weren't. Akaba realized with surprise that Shane's eyes were wet. She had never seen him look so vulnerable. We mean the green cloaks no harm, General Gar said. We mean no harm to the other nations of Erdas. We just want the chance to protect our people from the side effects of the natural bonding. Our problem is that the green cloaks control all the nectar and use that control to wield power over the people of Erdas. The green cloaks should make the nectar available to everyone. They share it? Akaba said, thinking of Chinwa. The good ones do, General Gar agreed, but they only share it on their terms. In return, they want influence, control, and those are the best of them. Some keep it for themselves. Or worse, they share false nectar. It is already a terrible problem in Zong and Amaya, and the problem is spreading. That doesn't seem very fair, Akaba admitted. Exactly, Shane said, but we can't risk asking them directly. If they know people survive in Sterile, they might come and destroy us. We have a plan to help them listen to reason, Zareth said. Do you know that each great beast possesses a talisman? I think so, Akaba said, unsure. My mother mentioned them in stories she told. All of the talismans contain powers that can be used by the marked. Zareth explained. The green cloaks are currently seeking the talismans of the great beasts. They wish to control all of the talismans, just as they control the world's supply of nectar. We intend to claim the talismans first, General Gar said. That way the green cloaks will have to listen to us, and the talismans will give us some protection in case the green cloaks try to wipe out Sterile again. We cannot lose more loved ones to the consequences of natural bonding. With our modest number, we are risking everything to obtain a few of these talismans. Akaba, we hope that you and Izza will help us. Akaba felt confused. Me? How can I help? I know nothing about any talismans. Unless... Do you think Uzza has one? Uzza lost her talisman when she was killed, as did the other four fallen. Zareth said. No one knows where they ended up. We have people investigating those. Shane's sister, Drin, leads that team. We don't require information from you, General Gar clarified, and gestured to the crone on the stool. We have Yumis. Her spirit animal is an earthworm. Yumis has lost touch with daily life, but she sees with a penetrating eye. She knows how Zareth found you. She recently located one of the talismans. Anamaya, I want you to join Zareth and Shane to help retrieve it. You and Izza can help repair the world, Zareth said, his face intent. Join us in protecting our homeland and helping us make the nectar available to all who need it. Akaba frowned. Something didn't feel right. She trusted Shane, but it was all so much to absorb. What about the men who are making monsters? General Gar nodded. Shane informed me about your unfortunate encounter. Those were not our men, but I am aware of them. They constantly experiment and attempt to find a replacement for the nectar. I applaud their desire to make nectar freely available, but I have no love for their methods. It was a terrible accident, Zareth said. We had already sent an envoy to inform them of the danger that they caused and to insist they take their unnatural tests elsewhere. Akba nodded. She hoped General Gar's people hadn't been behind those monsters, but needed to be sure. Their cause sounded just. Everyone deserved to protect their home. Chinra had called the Green Cloaks the protectors of Erdas, but she had always been extremely secretive about the nectar. And Chinra was probably one of the good ones. General Gar, Zareth, and Shane all seemed to respect Akaba, even more than they seemed to need her. They had gone to great lengths to find her and to train her. Perhaps her great stealth would help them get some of the talismans. Shane took her hand. It's a lot to take in, he said. We're involving you in our problems. If you need some time to think this over, just let us know. Akaba shook her head. Here she stood, with the king asking for her help, along with the man her father had trusted to watch over her, and her first close friend in all the world. There would be time to learn more details later. For now, she would do whatever she could. Akaba